Sure. I'll talk it out.
Yeah. Let's just have a conversation.
Track 3.
Better not be fucking Dave Matthews Band.
Okay. Those of you who don't want to be a part of this can leave now.
Derek, please listen to me.
But if you choose to stay, which it seems like you guys are choosing,
Derek, please.
you understand and agree to the following terms and conditions.
Derek!
1.
Derek, this is the virus
You
talking.
hereby waive your right
Derek, please.
to your own personal bodily integrity.
This is not you.
2.
I'm a licensed...
Per the state versus Neville Reed, my colleague and I will not be held criminally liable for any felony or misdemeanor that you may be a victim of, including, but not limited to, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, disorderly conduct, destruction of property, mayhem, and first-degree murder. And 3, terms and conditions may change or be updated whenever the fuck I want! Consider yourselves notified.
I'm done running.
What up, everyone? DJ Nubis.
And DJ Neko.
Here with you on the Metal Talk Radio podcast. Getting ready to do our top 10, I should say my top 10 of 2023 and the movie genre.
In the movie genre?
The movie genre.
Just top 10 of 2023.
With any genre.
Any genre. Any genre.
I genre.
Oh my God, my bangs are all up.
As I was telling Neko before, there's maybe 2 or 3 movies in my list that she has not seen, but we'll talk about them anyway, just because the interesting thing is this 2023 was kind of like a really down year in terms of movies, in my opinion. Now, granted, there's some movies I have not seen. Uh, Oppenheimer, I've not seen it. Heard it was really good.
Yeah, we were kind of waiting for Oppenheimer to be at home because we knew it was quite a long movie.
Yeah, you can rent it, but like it's not a. We have so many streaming services. I'm just waiting because right now, last night I was up really late for no reason at all. Started watching Beau is Afraid, which is on Canopy, which is really good. It's got a lot of stuff on there.
I was wondering because I didn't know what time you actually came to bed, and
It
I
was
like,
late.
because I get up at 5 for work, and I had went to bed at like 10:30, which is kind of late for someone who gets up at 5. But I'm like, all right, I'm all cozy in bed, got the kitty cats, and then I think I went to the bathroom when you can. And I'm like, is it time for me to? I'm like looking at my clock because I was like,
Yeah, like so I was up and like I found this Beau is Afraid on Canopy. And I thought, well, this is a 2023, and I was really interested in it because Ari Aster, who did Midsommar and Hereditary, did this. So I was like, But it was like 3 o'clock, and then I realized, oh, I didn't take my medicine because I have restless legs, so I got to take that shit, and I didn't take it. So I'm like, all right, so maybe I can blow through this and watch this, and I go to bed around 5. So 20 minutes in, I'm getting really sleepy, and I pause it, and I realized that this is like almost a 3-hour movie. So I'm like, I can't
my
do this.
God.
So I got to go to bed. I had to prepare for this today. So I haven't finished Beau is Afraid, but right now I can say within the first 20 minutes, it's a really kind of a slow burn. I'm having a hard time sticking with it. So I'll get back to it, but I wasn't that much impressed to the point that I
Not
think
yet.
right.
I mean, there's sometimes a slow burn is nice.
Right.
but
And I will give it a fair share because, like, I do want to see it.
There's so many movies that I haven't seen from like years ago. That's what the hardest thing with me, especially like when I was traveling a lot. Oh my God, why did you not tell me to like fix myself?
Well, the other thing is like, I do like Ari Aster. I do like Midsommar
Mhm.
and Hereditary. So I know he's got good work, but I just, it's going to be
But
a minute.
Midsommar was kind of like,
Wicker Man.
huh?
It's like Wicker Man.
It was kind of like Wicker Man, but I mean, it's kind of slightly based on some old like
Oh, yeah.
Norse traditions, but also it's like a roller coaster. And
Mhm.
it is kind of a slow burn too when you really realize what's happening. So
Eli Roth put out Thanksgiving not too long ago. I haven't had a chance to see
we didn't get
that.
to see that yet either. I heard it was really good.
So, really, the funny thing is, I could have taken my top 6 and just said, "Hey, I got my top 6 of 2023." But however, I did choose 4 other films that I thought were decent enough and close enough to add into my list. So I did round it off to top 10. And like I said, Neko's seen most of them with me. Some she hasn't, but I'll talk about those on my.
So are you putting it in any kind of ranking order, or are you just saying
Yes.
okay?
Yep. They're all ranked 10 to 1. The first one, ironically, is directed by Brandon Cronenberg, who is the son of David Cronenberg, who did the Fly remake, Shivers, Videodrome, The Brood, Rabid, and Naked Lunch, which is Jason's favorite film. Very avant-garde, crazy directing. So at number 10, obviously, we have Infinity Pool, which her and I checked out not too long ago, starring Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth.
Such weird.
Yeah.
I forgot that was the name of it.
Right. And so basically what you have is the plot synopsis is James and M. Foster are enjoying all-inclusive beach vacation on the fictional island of La Tolca when a fatal accident exposes the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic
Hedonism.
tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors are the aftermath. So basically what you have happening is, and there's going to be some spoilers here. I'm sorry, but I'm going to try to avoid the major ones.
So
But in order to explain what's happening, because like this movie is really fucked up.
so this fictional place, you have to think of like there are lots of places in the world where and I've Cancun, and I've been to a lot of them just because of what I used to do for work and travel, and just we hear about it all the time. you go to these beautiful resorts, but as soon as you step foot off of the resort, it can be super dangerous. And like they purposely tell you, like, don't do it, which nobody
Yeah.
listens because I did it. And, a lot of times too, when I was working, the area where you work and you are in port is not like the nice port. It's the working port. So you want to go to the nice area where all the cruise ships are. And you have to go through the shitty area, like in Curacao.
And that's kind of what happens here,
Mhm.
because they end up leaving the safety of the resort, which they're told not to leave. But this is the problem. Like James and M. Foster are meeting Mia Goth and her husband or boyfriend, their characters, and so the characters are very adventurous. They're sexually open, and so
And it's also like you
they're
can
kind of
tell
like,
that all these people are quite rich.
yeah, oh yeah, it's a very uppity. You got the money, you come here, and then we find out it's even more crazy with the money and stuff. So uh Mia Goth's character and the little clan of people they hang out with
They
come
called
to,
themselves something, I forgot.
well, they come there as a tourist, so it's like once everything's done they go back to their regular life. So when they come here, it's something they do to let loose.
Like once a year.
Yeah,
They all they plan it
it's
once a
like a
year.
get together. Yeah,
They're
so
all like doing super stressful jobs, like doctors and business people and
and it's kind of like they're almost recruiting. So obviously Alexander Skarsgård's character is fallen, kind of obviously Mia Goth's seducing him, and into not just like sex, but like trying to get into trouble, and that's why they end up leaving the resort to go get into trouble. And so
sometimes it's really juvenile
so
trouble. Like
yeah,
let's go steal something.
so James ends up driving them back to their place, but ends up hitting somebody. Now, as Neko was pointing out, like the way they compare this to like Cancun or the outskirts of Cancun, where normally you would just be arrested and put in jail. Yeah, this place, like they have more severe penalties. Like they have the family of the victim kill you, execute you. There's no there's no way out of it unless you do a certain thing, which leads to what they have is a technology there called cloning, and so they can clone you, duplicating, and so they can make a copy of you to be executed, and you get to watch it, and it's very disturbing. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail just with that because I do want to keep the segment rolling, but
You have to, if you're
you can do this as many times as you want. This is the weird thing about this movie. It's
and
like,
then they just start getting off on
that's right. And so like the
watching them.
group, this is why they like it. They can do whatever the fuck they want. And there's no penalties because hey, if you got the money or whatever.
And the government's so corrupt they'll take your $1 million
Right. And you could just
they have a
keep
fucking
making,
ATM in the jail.
you can make as many copies as you want. And the sad thing is if you ever saw The Prestige and Hugh Jackman's character
Learned how to duplicate himself.
right, through Tesla technology, it's similar to that where like you can make a duplicate of yourself, but that duplicate still has the emotions that you have. So then there's also the idea is like, well, how do you know that's not you and this is you?
They've
Like,
even brought that up a few times.
right. So it's very weird, and like I think
They say
now
that this is David Cronenberg's son.
Brandon,
Yeah,
yep.
so this is right on
right on point.
right on par.
Now this to me is really more of like a 9 out of 10, and usually my top 10 would be 10 out of 10s. But the reality is, like I said, this year didn't have a lot of movies that I actually saw that I felt were strong enough, but this was close enough of a weird thing, and it was a good movie. The ending was a little bit lackluster for me, but I really thought
The one thing I liked about the ending, it is kind of, I don't want to call it abrupt, but it's like a quick change of pace and a quick change of tone.
Mhm.
And I think that's what it is. It's like, but I really think you can feel Skarsgård's like, because he was in really deep with this
Mhm.
group. And then when it's time to go home because the rainy season started and they're closing the resort, they're all acting like they're not like fucking delinquents, and
Some are lawyers, some are just regular
they're
working.
like, "Oh yeah, I have that brief due."
We got the kids at home; they're being babysat or whatever, and I'm
And
like,
they're just
holy
talking
fuck.
like nothing had happened, but there has been death. There has been
Yeah, they literally
robberies.
rob people, shoot
They
people.
are all fucking each other, and then it's like, okay, see you next year. And I think Skarsgård, he really got into his character, like really got into this whole like debauchery,
Hmm.
and then to see how easily that they can compartmentalize and disconnect and go back to being like normal. And you know, the funny thing is Skarsgård's character was an author,
Yep, and
and
his wife
his
was
wife was the
rich,
one with the money, and she
and
wanted to go home
yeah, she
after that.
eventually left because she wasn't really into what was going on. I will say this: there's a scene, and I have to say this because Mia Goth. This is probably the best performance I've seen from Mia Goth, and she's been in a lot of movies like X and Pearl. I saw Pearl recently; didn't think it was quite as good as people were saying.
Which one's Pearl?
You haven't seen it. It's more like it's kind of like a Lizzie Borden type thing. It's part of like like right now, I forget that Ty West. He's the director of both X and Pearl, and it's
Mhm.
kind of be a trilogy. So they got one more coming, with Mia being the centerpiece to all of it.
Interesting.
But Pearl is kind of like a Lizzie Borden type of feel of a vibe of a movie. But
Oh, very cool.
I liked X better. It was a little bit different, more like grindhouse effect on the first one. But her performance in this was outstanding. Like I thought she was.
She's just like she goes from crazy seductress.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly what I say. She can go from being very sexy, seductive, and then to like over crazy, fucking crazy. Like it's nuts. But there is a scene which caught me off guard a little bit because you don't see it in like mainstream movies. Like I know this was in theaters, so I don't really know how the reaction was when people were watching it. Now we watched the unrated version, so I got a feeling the mainstream theaters didn't see the masturbation part
Oh yeah, in the
because she comes up behind Skarsgård's character while he's taking a piss and gives him a rub.
and you see
And
it.
so, like initially, you're just seeing her do anything. Okay, well, this is obviously her to connect with him in some way. But then you see
It.
the ejaculation and everything else, and so that was a bit surprising. Like that was something I hadn't really seen since maybe like Itchy the Killer and stuff like that. So that
What was
was
that crazy Willem Dafoe movie?
oh yeah, Antichrist, same thing. The blood coming out. Yeah, so it has that. So now, whether or not the unrated version was in the theater is doubtful.
Yeah,
Because that'd be like an X version
yeah,
of
because to
that.
see an actual phallus like
Yeah.
on screen, I think they probably cut that out
Yeah.
because you could, but it's just
That would be a little bit too shocking.
it gives quite an effect.
Yeah.
Because the whole movie has that effect. It's like seeing someone in their deranged, like, just imagine if when I say these people are rich, they're going to this area where most of the native people are
Poor.
completely impoverished.
Yep.
Like Jamaica, like a lot of Curacao, like a lot of these places where they have Dominican Republic, where they have these huge, expensive resorts, and they're just taking advantage of it. So they know they can get like away with everything.
Mhm.
And it's just like one shocking thing after another because they know they're that rich and they're putting that on the screen, whether it be a penis or killing, like wearing masks and killing somebody. Like it was bizarre. Like some of the stuff that they were just stealing trophies and trinkets. These aren't even things like
It's probably something that when they first got there, it was more like innocent stuff like
we're gonna
stealing things.
yeah, we're gonna steal, we're gonna,
But as
have
time
sex
goes on
with each
and they
other's
realize they could
husbands.
not have to be accountable for it, they could just make a clone to take the penalty for them. That's when it became like, oh, we can push this even further. And that's initially what they were doing. But then, like you said, at the end of it, they go back to their lives and they can disconnect and then just come back a year later. And if they want, it's almost like, hey, I need to vent. I can't wait to go on vacation next year. It's like one of those things. Like what's the thing they do? Like you can take a bed to like glass room or something and just smack it.
It's a rage room.
Right. So that's basically what this is kind of like.
I'd totally like to do a rage room, honestly. You get you got the face shield and everything, and I'd like to beat up an old television set. That would be fun. But like they're doing this on another level where they're actually killing people. Um, they're participating in the corrupt government. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm not mean like I honestly want to watch this movie again because when you first learn about being duplicated, I wasn't expecting it at all.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to see if there's like little clues or because the couple, Skarsgård and his wife, were genuinely upset and scared because they hit somebody by accident.
Yeah.
And when you see like the other couple, they're like, we can't, this is a corrupt, we have to just go back. And then Skarsgård and his wife find out that they're the ones who ratted him out.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's an ulterior motive.
Yeah.
You find out at the end exactly what's going
but
on.
I'm just seeing how everybody is acting and reacting. That's why this does deserve to be here. Even, if it's not your cup of tea, not your type of movie, it's really good acting. And it's a really interesting story because it's like, I can believe this would happen. I've been to places where you got people living.
Yeah, you just won't
literally.
have a clone.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Wait, it might happen.
You might just disappear.
Yeah, but I've been to places where it's like, look, there is a $1 million resort with giant gates around it that nobody's allowed to go into, and then right next to it is a shack that barely has any walls. I mean, it's
so
interesting.
anyway, moving into number 9.
Okay.
This is the first time that you'll probably see a movie of this caliber make my top 10 of a movie list like throughout a year, because usually it's
Caliber.
well, yeah, because of this is more like a B-rated movie.
Oh.
But because again, down year. But this is a really good movie. And in fact, it's better than Infinity in some ways, just because it's actually a prequel. It's been done years after the fact. The movie is Subspecies 5: Blood Rise from Full Moon Features.
I don't think I saw this one.
You didn't. It's directed by Ted Nicolau. The cast is Anders Hoff and Denise Duff. The plot is spanning 500 years in the life of the vampire Radu. That's
sounds kind of cool.
This long-anticipated prequel to the Subspecies series chronicles Radu's descent from a noble warrior for the church to a depraved creature of the night. So I did not expect this when it came out to stand out as much as it did. Like, I just really like the idea behind it. I like what they put some thought into it. Like, to me, this is actually the best of the entire series because it's so well done, well thought out. If you didn't have all the previous Subspecies films to go off of, you would sit there and say, this is a great individual film on its own. Like, that's just how good it is. They really thought it out well. I can appreciate the plot. The great news is Anders came back. He was much older. And I think that was what the cool thing was too, because how are you going to take a guy who was younger in the days of Subspecies and then bring him back for a sequel or prequel? And then like sort of, because what you can do, you can use the technology to try to younger him. But the reality was they used his age now as he was an older warrior for the church. And then, of course, as he became a vampire, it's more like he's very
that's
decrepit.
a really good.
Because the way they did the makeup in the earlier films was you wouldn't know he was a younger dude. He looked very decrepit and old and everything. So, and then, of course, Denise Duff, who appeared in the second film to now, great actress. We saw her in The Exorcist with Jose Prendes, his last film. Great actress. She's again appearing as it again. She's playing like this ancestor of her character in the earlier movies.
That's
so
really creative. Yeah.
So rather than try to play a sequel that was going off the last film, they just said, hey, we're going to do a prequel to set all that up.
Like Underworld.
Yes.
And we love that.
Rise of the Lycans.
Rise of the Lycans is an insane prequel.
Yeah.
And it's so sometimes it's okay to do that,
Yeah, and I just a lot of credit to them for
getting creative.
Yeah, because that's hard to do when you've got a series that's been around. Like, I think the last film was put out before 2000, so that's just cool that they were able to do that now. So hats off to them, man. Yeah. Now the number 8 film.
Okay.
Neko definitely saw this. We went to the theaters to see this. and directed by Andre Overdahl. And cast consists of Corey Hawkins, Aislinn Francisi, and Liam Cunningham, who, of course, from Dog Soldiers. And that is Last Voyage of the Demeter. And
That was a
fantastic,
cool movie.
based upon, of course, the
It's
book
a chapter
chapter in the book
out
of
of
Dracula.
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yep.
A chapter that they took and turned it into a full-length movie.
Yep.
Which I really like this.
Yeah. So that scene was pretty cool. Basically, it's the plot is a crew sailing from Varna, Bulgaria, by the Black Sea to England to find that they are carrying very dangerous cargo, and of course, that cargo is Dracula. Now,
Mhm.
I wasn't as impressed with the way that Dracula looked. I know they were going to go with like the more monstrous look of it,
Well,
which
it's
made
because
sense.
the reason that he's so monstrous is because he's been like in um what's the word? Like hibernation. So he's not able to take his full powers to make himself look attractive and inviting. So like all the ship stuff, you know this. I talked about this when
Mhm.
we after like all the ship stuff just reminds me of when I was sailing, which was not that long ago. So it really like I think we saw it right when I got back from my last trip, and the part so because this is an- ancient sailing and it's a wooden ship, and they were like very like devoted to the wooden ship. This era was like the metal ships were first coming out, but they all were like we're very loyal to our wooden ship. um some of the things that really stuck to me was the attention to detail, because like now vessels, like think about back in the day, like just homes. You didn't have running water. You go on a cruise ship, you're in a fucking penthouse suite. Even like me working on a working ship, I had a shower. So what they did is they really showed like everybody's sleeping together in the same quarters. You want food, you gotta go downstairs and kill your pig if you want bacon for breakfast. And the slow
Yeah, we definitely talked about the detail because, like, even at the beginning with the dock and how well it looked and the organization and just the detail.
Mhm.
We also, when we reviewed it, because there was some stuff in there that you would say, oh, they got kind of woke with, but you and I agreed that it wasn't anything that was gonna like preachy or anything. Like it was inserted, but it was done so well and smoothly that you just didn't even care.
Oh, yeah, I forgot the doctor was black. That's right, I forgot. Oh, yeah.
Doctor is black, and then I think the main girl, like, there was like this sort of female empowerment thing, which is fine. But it wasn't like you know how some things with the woke stuff, it overtakes the movie. So like they take their
And we're
agenda.
not okay, just asterisks, we're not calling this movie woke.
No,
We're quoting what other people have
yeah,
said about the movie.
correct.
It's there have been like
Negative, yeah.
negative complaints that the movie is too woke, like, oh, a black doctor. You know what? They said yes, he understands that
They
he's
but they
black.
they gave him
Yeah.
a background, and
Hmm.
like they did the plot. It wasn't like they just inserted him with like no backstory. He has a backstory, a reason why. Uh, even at the end, like that was kind of a cool thing. He's in the pub and
Hmm.
everything, and that
And
that
then that's when Dracula started looking like Dracula.
yeah,
But I just think, he was using every ounce of power on that ship to gain strength to get to England and do his due diligence.
yep.
So I did like this, and I haven't watched it since we saw it in the theater, and I'm probably going to watch it again tonight if it's on one of our streaming services because I forgot how much I like this. The only complaint I really had is the night scenes are very
Dark,
dark. And
yeah,
when you're in a movie theater with a giant screen, it's very dark and very hard to see it. Like one thing that's nice, when you're home, a lot of people have some subtle lights, or the new trend right now is backlighting your television, and we kind of do that upstairs where we have like a little light that kind of backlights it. And
Yeah,
it
because
helps.
like if you go from, let's say, watching King of the Monsters and on the screen, it's tough. But if you come home and watch it, then you can see in more detail.
Exactly, 100%. So I agree with this. I think this is a good choice, and I'm really happy we watched it together. And I keep forgetting all of the movies that we've watched this year because in my mind I just don't have like the concept of time. I'm very bad with time. I'm like, oh, was that this year? Last year?
Right. At number 7, this is another one that she has not seen. I actually saw this on Amazon Prime through my in-laws who had rented it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And directed by Damien Rugna, I'm going too far. Christopher McQuarrie.
Oh, so this actually made your top 10?
Yeah, the only issue I'm gonna have, and I'll get to it in a
Okay,
minute.
sorry, I'm spoiling everything. Go.
The cast is Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, and Simon Pegg, and that is, of course, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. And so there were some cool scenes in this. I don't know if I enjoy this more than like say Rogue Nation or some of the other Mission Impossible films, but it is good.
What was the one that we saw that was the Opera House? That
I
was
think it's
Rogue
Rogue Nation, I'm pretty sure.
that was like my favorite Mission Impossible. I know you're a bigger Mission Impossible fan than I am. I'm more of like, well, you're a James Bond guy too, but like I have never been able to connect with Mission Impossible the way you have. But what I do appreciate is when they make it a good movie. You don't just because it's like they're resting on the name and the actor, Tom Cruise, big actor, the name Mission Impossible. They're on like what, the 9th Mission Impossible now.
Yeah, it's up there. I mean, and the thing is,
But they
like,
make them good stories.
right?
Like they
So
treat them individually like they're good stories.
yeah. So the plot here is Ethan Hunt and his IMF team must track down a dangerous weapon before it falls into the wrong hands. And the wrong weapon, of course, which is sort of a common theme with some of the movies we're seeing recently, is when AI goes wrong. So we have an AI computer that's now dictating what's going to happen. So Ethan Hunt has to try to outsmart a machine basically to find out what's going on. But great performance
Sounds like
by
Minority Report.
exactly.
Remember?
Haley Atwell, who is, of course, played Agent Carter in the Captain America film. She's in this. She does a really good
Oh, I
job.
really like Agent Carter.
Yeah.
Shit. Maybe I should watch it. Is it still on there?
I think it is.
Okay.
I think it is.
I don't know if they bought it or if they rented it. So
Yeah. But the only issue I have, of course, is it's part 1. So we ain't got part 2 yet. So I hate when I have to stop when I'm really invested in something and then like the wait, like time goes on. We did this with Harry Potter. We've done this with some other films.
everybody likes doing that.
Endgame and
Endgame,
stuff,
yeah.
all that stuff. So whenever they pause it, I'm just like, no, why?
You're like, come on, man.
Come on, man.
Give me the good stuff.
Right. All right. Now number 6. This is where shit gets really good for me.
Shit gets good.
Good. I mean, not that I didn't enjoy everything else we just talked about, but I do really enjoy these particular films. These were like the top of the crop for me.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
So this one again, I've seen Brandon Stoudemire talk about this on his channel. I just saw Kevin Lambert talk about this film on his channel, which is great. I like that people are actually paying attention. This is a underrated horror flick. Neko has not seen this. She will need to watch it. It's called When Evil Lurks. It's on Shudder.
Are you sure I haven't seen this?
Directed by it. Yeah. Did you see The Goat? You hadn't seen that film. Because you would know what the aftermath of that is.
I can't watch it then.
Well, it's only a quick scene for that, but it
I
has a
can't.
purpose. It has a purpose.
I can't.
Directed by Damien Rugna, the cast is Ezekiel Rodriguez, Damien Solomon, and Sylvina Sabater. Plot is, in a remote village, 2 brothers find a demon-infected man just about to give birth to evil itself. They decide to get rid of the body only to end up unintentionally spreading chaos. So basically what's happening is if you kill somebody who's infected, it infects other people.
So if you would have let that person just be?
Yep. That part was nuts. She just took an axe to her own face. But
dude, that dog just took out that good.
Yeah, it's crazy. They don't hold back with the kids. They don't hold back with anything in this. It's just crazy as fuck. Uh,
Good.
yeah, it's nuts, and it's good though. It's really an underrated horror film because it just like the goat scene. The goat's clearly infected, and it walks up to the shotgun, and
And it
so
knows it's like, if you shoot me, I'll just infect all y'all
that's what
motherfuckers.
happens. And so that's one. In fact, that's the reason why his wife takes the axe to his head because she's like, "Don't do it because it's gonna spread." He does it anyway.
See, I think I've heard of this movie, but I haven't watched it yet.
It's incredibly good, really good,
All right,
and
all
it
right.
just
Maybe I'll watch it.
it's on tonight, yeah.
Just don't. He
Well,
didn't.
well, the scene with the goat is very fast. It's not like lingering. I mean, I hate it that kind of stuff as
But
much
when
as
did
you do.
your little girl get their fucking head eaten by a
But
dog?
they find her later on. Yeah, it's she's not. Don't spoil it, but she doesn't die.
Okay, okay, she doesn't die.
But that
Poor little
causes
girl.
panic and chaos because the dog takes her. But it's a good film, really
That
good.
just, I mean, the only reason it's just you can see that's normally it is a big dog, but that type of dog is normally like a big lazy lug, and the dog's head can fit the child's head in its mouth. Oh,
Well, that's the thing is that you know they're trying to show how quickly this shit spreads. In fact, that's sort of the whole point of the movie because
so is it
these
okay?
these
So
two brothers are
don't give
trying.
me don't spoil it because I do want to kind of see it. But
Okay.
is it more like an infection, like a zombie type infection, or is it more like an Evil Dead
No,
thing?
actually, I would say, and this is something that's right up your alley. You like Fallen with Denzel Washington. It's a lot like that. It just jumps.
So from person to person or
Yeah.
animal to, oh
Yes.
fuck. I
So,
love Fallen. It's one of my favorite movies. I haven't seen it in a
so it
while.
has that kind of vibe. It's just a little bit more gorier than that, but it definitely has that similar vibe going on.
Yeah, and at the end of Fallen, he jumps into the cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I almost died.
Yeah, that's clever too.
I
Yeah.
know, I know.
So again, we're at number 5 now. This one I don't think you've seen. In fact, you haven't seen most of them, I don't think. It's up maybe for the first couple. Is John Wick 4. Now,
Oh, see, I have not. I don't think I've seen 3 or 4.
right. Yeah, you're a little bit behind on that, but directed by Chad Stahelski, cast as Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, Lance Reddick, RIP to him, Clancy Brown, Ian McShane, Bill
All right, so
Skarsgård.
this sounds like all-star cast.
Oh, it
Like,
is
yeah.
because you also have Donnie Yen
Oh fuck, I
and
forgot about Donnie
and
Yen.
Hayuki Sanada from Mortal Kombat. So we have these Asian guys coming in here more now with these big time act. I love how they're expanding it.
I do too. I 100% do too.
And so the only thing I would say about negatively about John Wick 4 is that a couple of things. One is
Too much action?
not so much too much action, but there's the issues that we have. You saw it in the trailer thing that I played at the beginning where Donnie Yen and Keanu are fighting
Uh-huh.
and they're shooting at each other and they're not really hitting. So basically, these guys in this movie, most of them have like armored plated suits to block bullets. And I think that's kind of silly because you're then saying that one, these guys can't hit anything, like they can't hit a broadside of a barn, which they're assassins. Headshots should be like mandatory. There's no protection there. So that's already a problem. So there's a lot of this, oh, I can block the bullets. I'm Superman. And so it's a little bit
Pulling a
far.
little Matrix in that
Yeah,
too.
it's a little bit far fetched. Now, I love the martial arts, the choreography. It's great. The story
And
is
I
great.
think that's part of why they're doing that, so they can squeeze more martial arts into it. I mean, remember Equilibrium,
Mhm.
right? So you think like, okay, they what did they call it? The way that they did their shooting. That's what I'm thinking, like, because everybody knows that
Yeah, it's
everybody
something
has.
Sahatu. I don't
Yeah.
know, some weird saying, but
So everybody knows that everybody has their own armored suits now. So instead of just like, okay, we're just gonna try and shoot each other. Now we're going to have to go fisticuffs. Now we're going to have to get really serious and use our hand-to-hand combat, which I think is cool because, like, you know,
Well, that's the only thing though. Like in the earlier films, so like take the first film, which you
Mhm.
did see. You know, John Wick gets beat up, he gets hurt, and you know he also
oh, so you're feeling like he's got too much like of a
because he gets hurt in
hero
this film, but
advantage.
it's like, but no, but it's not just him; it's all the other guys he's fighting. They have this protection, and so I'm watching the Donnie Yen and fight scene with him. They're shooting at each other, and like literally, they should be hitting each other, but they're not. Now, granted, they're both playing defense, and so like you could say, well, he's just dodging or blocking it, or whatever. But it some of it just seems a little bit too unreal and doesn't seem grounded. So that to me, like, and I just disagree with some of my contemporaries. Like I know Samurai and Kevin Lambert said this is one of the best ones in the series. I just don't agree with that. And I think a little
But
bit, I think a little bit just has to do with the fact that Sonata and Yen are in this. I think they're kind of just pushing it for that reason.
well, I think they take it up a notch.
Well, dude,
You
I
can
mean,
agree that, right?
you
Like,
can't hurt yourself by putting in those two guys. Like, it doesn't hurt the film at all. In fact, it's at number 5. So, like, clearly, it's still a good movie. Like, I still love it. I love the franchise. I just dislike that part of it. I need them to get a little bit back down to earth. Let's not go
so
overboard.
I agree because, like, at the beginning when John Wick was like going through his hurt, and then they put out the whole, like, you know, we're gonna everybody, you know, what do they call it? All points bullet on John Wick, everybody, we're gonna all go kill John Wick. And he did get fucked up a lot, you know, but
I just don't want this franchise to start going Fast and Furious where all of a sudden they're fighting in space. You know, like I don't want it to get there. Like keep it grounded. Everything is going fine. The first 3 films are perfect in my opinion. Like I really like those films a lot. This is the only one that kind of like strayed with some of what they were trying to throw in there. And I'm like, I understand you want to up the ante, you want to up the action, but like
it's like, oh, we have new technology.
yeah, let's just keep it grounded a little bit here. Because we got some great actors, and even at the end, it's still open ended. So I like that. I love that. So
We could
that's
see some more
yeah.
John Wick.
Oh yeah. Oh
That
yeah.
would be great. Like,
Exactly.
I am a big martial arts fan. I'm a big Keanu Reeves fan. That one scene that you showed with all the green gives me Matrix vibes. It makes me think of, like, I think a lot of people because we have been watching Keanu Reeves for a while because we're older, and the younger people, I'm hoping they have watched at least the first Matrix. That was like a groundbreaking film. It was
Yeah.
huge. Like,
But then
and
you saw, of course, they ruined it by trying to bring another one out.
I did not watch it.
Neither did I.
Um,
But I heard the horror.
I honestly think though, like, as people who grew up and lived in the 90s, it really encompassed like what we were thinking and feeling about the future. Like, what if? And I think they're trying to squeeze a little bit of that into this John Wick because they're kind of like, oh, okay, you know, this is more of like, what's the right word? I keep wanting to say like a financial, but that's what it all is about. Like, they're all like underground, undercover. They're all making like secret money with the secret credits and stuff. And but anyway, my point was, I'm a great tangent person. Keanu Reeves has been really just like killing it in the martial arts world since The Matrix, so since 1998. And we've never really kind of given him like his just due because he's, you know, like, he's the surfer dude. He's in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He's such, like, obviously everybody loves him because he's such just a good soul, but he has been training in kung fu
Yeah, he has a strong interest in the martial arts, and that's
since
cool.
98.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that now
I know kung fu.
I know kung fu. I'm glad now he's got this platform that he can really be like this awesome action star. But you have to remember too, like, he's been in like romantic comedies. He's been in,
Dude, he's Bill from Bill and Ted.
he's been in so many things. And I do love that he's got this now. Like John Wick, I feel like is equal to Keanu
Well,
way.
yeah, I love the fact that ever since the first film, he's had this resurgence. Like, I think he's a very good actor, and like, I love the fact that there's still someone out there that likes doing action films.
Mhm.
So whether it's Keanu or Jason Statham, there's guys out that are still kind of carrying this
Well,
torch.
look at like Ryan Gosling. He did that Netflix movie, The Gray Man, and I'm like, and
Was it
he's
Gosling or was it Chris?
no, it was
Captain
Ryan
America.
Gosling and Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
They were
well, it
both
wasn't
in
Pratt.
it.
It's not
It's
Chris something. I can't remember his last name, but
I called him Chris Pratt. It's not Chris Pratt. It's Captain America.
yeah,
Sorry.
Captain America.
He
He was quite funny in that.
he was very good. But like, look at Ryan Gosling, the shit that he's been in. He was in like Mickey Mouse Club when he was a kid. The Notebook. But then you got him doing Drive. You got him doing.
But he's not really such much an action star. He does do dramas and
Mhm.
stuff. But like I love Blade Runner 2049. So
Mhm.
like I love that he did that. So he does a lot of different things, and it's cool. Like Barbie. I mean, fuck. What are you gonna do?
He did like I is he not with his bleach blonde hair and his airbrushed abs? Was he not Ken? Like he looked like a Ken doll.
Gonna
That
beat you off.
will beat you off.
All right, so let's move to number 4. Directed by Lee Cronin. The cast consists of Mara B. Pease, Richard Crouchley, and Anna Marie Thomas, and Alyssa Sutherland, who we know from Vikings History Channel. This is a twisted tale of two estranged sisters whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them to a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable.
Okay.
And I know when Neko and I went to see this in the theaters, this was probably the favorite scene that we had seen. I loved the backdrop. I loved how it started, and it set the tone for the entire fucking movie with Evil Dead Rise. That right there is like the coolest fucking thing. Just so excellent. And
If you want gore, watch this movie.
oh yeah.
If you want blood, gore, people dying, getting their chainsaw hacked off, blood in elevators, what else?
Yeah, they paid homage to the earlier films with the chainsaw and some other little bits here and there.
But the thing is too, they were real people. They weren't just like, you think of some of these old school slasher movies, it's just an airhead getting stabbed or attacked by like some random person. These were like people. They were two sisters who had a backstory. They had, the kids were there. This, historical, beautiful building that housed some treasures in the basement of former tenants.
And this is the thing, like you and I both love Evil Dead 2013, the reboot.
And
This
original.
this is a sequel from that. So the difference is that I think I don't know about you, how you feel, but as much as I love the campiness of the earlier films, the more serious tone makes these films a little more terrifying. So
Well, I was gonna say that, like the treasures in the basement when the son was really into vinyl, and they're getting ready to demolish a historical building, so he's just like, I'm checking out what's in the basement, and he found these very old vinyls that were so you used to be I'm not going to get into the whole science of it, but like when you're actually making a vinyl, you're actually literally pressing the sound into the record. So if you don't have a speaker and you just turn your record player on and you put your ear to it. So literally when these vinyls were made, it was like somebody had a microphone and the ability to create it just kind of like you would with a recording, a cassette tape. So that's how old these vinyls are. And they're like the big, thick, heavy ones. And I find it really cool that they're using the history and the story
Yeah.
like about the demon, and then they find the book. I'm not saying the word, or can I say the word? Batu.
Victor Naruto, whatever the fuck it is.
But
There.
they find the book, they find these vinyls, and they play them, and all this shit starts getting stirred up again because these vinyls were literally exorcisms, basically, and it's interesting because they really played on how old this building was. So you know it's been there a while, and they're like, "Oh, this has been here," and they just happened to open. That's just how it always is. The building's settling, and this door just happened to open, and oh, look, some vinyls, and oh, look, a book of the dead with an eyeball on it. Like, I do enjoy when I again, this is a horror movie and a slasher, but when you start putting things into it that, you know, I hate kind of makes sense because you're looking into certain what's the word? Like stories from the past, listening to these histories, and then it turns into like this crazy bloody shit show, which is what we really enjoyed. But that was, and this is tangent again, I'll 5-second tangent. That's one of the things I said that I really liked about like the newer legendary Godzillas is because they really dove into the whole monarch thing, which is now a sideshow. But it really showed that they're like, okay, Godzilla's not just like fucking Godzilla. Godzilla like has a whole legacy, and there's all these fucking monsters, and we have been studying him for years.
Yeah.
It's not just like, okay, let's go destroy Tokyo and oh, magically it's built again. So anyway, that is what I really enjoyed about this movie is they treated it like it mattered, not like just an 80s slasher movie.
Yeah, they're putting more thought into
Mhm.
it. You know, the structure of the plots are stronger, which is fine. Like, you know, you don't discredit anything from the earlier because, you know,
Because
back
we liked
then,
it. We thought it was good.
well, Sam didn't have budgets. I mean, you figure Sam back then, he's like, dude, if I had budgets like I do today, he did like a
He's
whole
like,
different
I'll
story.
make Titanic.
Right. So, like, you know, and so, but it's cool that they're, you know, they are paying homage to this earlier stuff, but then they're just making it a little bit more serious and they're taking out a lot of the camp. I mean, you still have some of it, like, you know,
That's like
mommy doesn't live here anymore. You know?
that's 100%.
Yeah.
Remember like when they were first in the old ones from the 80s, like they had the tape player and they had the book, and I think like it's just showing the lineage of like, okay, there was a record player, now there's a tape player, and
Yeah.
these are all magically placed, and the book just fucking shows up everywhere, and it's like the evil magical book.
Yeah.
Good
So
choice.
good movie. At number 3, this one I knew I would want to see the moment I saw the trailer.
Uh-oh.
And of course, they got like a lot of views. My trailer, for whatever reason, on this got a shit ton of views, over 1,000.
Oh, Sisu.
Sisu. And great fucking film. Her and I went to see this. I'll need to watch it again because we only did see it the once. But dude, ever since that early opening scene with the knife to the fucking skull was like nuts. So it's directed by Jalmari Hilinder. The cast consists of Jorma Tamilia, Axel Henny, and Jack Doolan. And the plot is when an ex-soldier who discovers gold in the Lapland wilderness tries to take the loot into the city, Nazi soldiers led by the brutal SS officer battle him. And so basically,
What country was this? Because I remember we saw it with subtitles. Was it Finnish?
yeah, I think it was. And yeah, it was with subtitles, and that's fine. Yeah.
Because the whole thing was Sisu was like this warrior power that like builds up inside of you and you're never going to quit. I like this movie probably not as much as you though, and I just thought it just got ridiculous kind of at the end. But
well, well, the plane thing when
yeah.
you saw that was kind of crazy. But you know, I really enjoy it. Like you can never really hate when you have someone who's like fighting Nazis. Like that's always fun. Like that's
Nazis
too
on
fun.
the moon.
Underrated movie, by the way. Oh man. But
And
yeah,
it's
I
just
thought it was well
hilarious.
performed, great acting, and it's a good plot. Of course, you and I, we always like, well, where's the fucking dog? The dog was always running around doing
Oh
something.
God, yeah. And then remember, okay, again, spoiler alert, there's the part where they actually strung him up and hung him, but he somehow like managed to tension himself to the point where he either passed himself out and then was able to, and we're like, where's the dog?
Yeah,
Is the dog
dog
coming?
just like
He's
looking at
like,
him. Are you gonna feed me today? What are we
yeah,
gonna
or
do?
am I gonna have to eat you?
So he's basically doing one of those Van Damme things from Cyborg, kicking and getting himself down. But dude, it's a great movie. I really enjoyed it a lot. And like I said,
If you like old school
yeah,
like action,
yeah, like and it's cool because you can kind of empathize with the main character. He's all he's trying to do is just get gold and make a life for himself.
well, the backstory about him though was like his whole entire family and village was destroyed by Nazis.
Right.
So,
But he just minded his business past them, and they're like, had to go fuck with him. And
mhm,
he's like, yeah, you're not taking my gold, dude. Sorry.
because they're Nazis, they're just like fucking greedy. They
Yep.
want the gold.
Yep. So getting down to the final two, and I'll tell you, this second one, both of these films that we're going to be talking about are emotional roller coasters.
Oh wow.
And so the first one, directed by James Gunn, cast consists of Chris Pratt,
Yeah.
Chukwudi Wuji, Bradley Cooper, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, and Vin Diesel. And of course, that is Whoops, I didn't want to show that quite yet. So the plot is still reeling from the loss of Gamora. Peter Quill rallies his team to defend the universe and one of their own, a mission that could only mean the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy if not successful. Basically, though, that's not really a great description because what this ended up being was more
This
about
is
Rocket.
the Rocket Raccoon
Yeah,
movie.
this is his movie. We find out his origins in this, where he came from, why he came to be. And dude, I did not expect to be like,
I'm gonna cry right now.
yeah.
I
So
didn't
I
think
had to play the scene because
Don't.
I
friends.
so yeah, that's a tough scene to get through. Now that's basically Rocket he's being tracked by these super beings that initially you saw the black character behind him
So
who is like this
all of those little guys are considered like the
test
rejects.
test subjects.
Yeah. They're not like the higher, they're trying to make a higher being.
Yeah. To
And
repopulate planets. And
And
so
the
they use the animals as like their test subjects to try to like get the intelligence or whatever.
little bunny with the fucking
The
ma-
bunny was horrifying, but it was so
it was so cute.
because of the mannerisms and how they acted. And
Because
so
we do have two rabbits and they're really like cute, but I can picture them wearing a Hannibal Lecter mask because they
but
are.
that entire sequence of scenes is like tough. Like if you're an animal lover, just be ready for the tissues.
And I'm crying.
But Rocket, like even as himself as a cute little raccoon, like he doesn't even call himself a raccoon half the time, but
He doesn't remember that he's a raccoon
Right.
because he was a raccoon and they created him. So he thinks of himself as like, a person.
but I can't remember like when he was first attacked, something with his heart. There was something going on with his heart, and so the whole idea was that the rest of the Guardians had to go and try to
So
find.
they put like a kill switch on his heart.
Yeah,
The whoever created Rocket and they figured out where he was, so they were able to put this kill switch on his heart. So the rest of the Guardians were like, we're not letting our buddy die. Like
Yeah.
they love Rocket, and then
but we see, of course, while Rocket's in a coma, he's kind of having these flashbacks about how he became to be and stuff like that. And then, of course, towards the end, now the ending again, like when we have Gamora who's kind of involved in this, like I kind of wished it would turned out differently, but I understand like why they went the way they went. She's very much in tune with that. She's like, well, a different timeline, Gamora. This is why.
this is not the same Gamora that sacrifice
But if
yourself
you're,
for.
yeah, but you still like you kind of want that closure there, and eventually it really wasn't the way I wanted, but it was still decent. I loved it. There was this appreciation between Quill and Gamora anyway. But this is totally a Rocket movie. It's all about him and just so fun. Like it was really good and really emotional. Really, I did not expect to be that emotional of a movie.
I know I cried like the entire movie.
It was tough, man. It was really tough through a lot of that. Which brings us to number one.
I know what it is.
And
It's
of
right behind you.
course, it's no,
It's
just
me.
kidding. Just
It's
kidding.
my number
There's
one.
no way it's gonna be number one. No way it's gonna be on my
Okay,
list.
so we'll talk about. I know what your number one is, and
Okay.
it's probably my number two. But go ahead.
Go ahead, give people your number one.
We'll put it back up.
I'll let her take the mic here.
I think this movie for me unlocked something that, as a 43-year-old woman, you forget about when you're 10. And
I think the thing, real quickly, is that Barbie is to you as Godzilla is to me.
well, I didn't get introduced to Godzilla until I was, in
I'm
my
just saying, as
teens.
far as the passions there, like, obviously I'm a little bit bigger Godzilla fan than you are, but you are a huge Barbie fan.
Yes, you don't understand. I had the dream
Now, I should
house.
note
I had
real
the
quick.
penthouse. I had McDonald's. I
Uh,
had the fucking camper. I had all the Barbies. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I rated Barbie 7 out of 10. It's a decent movie. It's just not something I would have in my top 10. I didn't find anything that I would want to watch it again. Like it is out there on
It
Max.
is meant for me.
Right. It's for her.
for Barbie lovers.
Yeah.
And I hate that all these people are trying to find like hidden meanings, like, oh, it's man hating. It's like,
I don't think it's man-hating, but there's definitely some issues with it, with the feminism. But the thing is, I went into the film knowing that it was going to be there. Like you have to be kind of an idiot if you don't go into this film not doing the research.
but I'm going to give you kind of like my little girls are given a Barbie doll and they brush Barbie's hair and they put
Or
nice.
set it on fire.
Yeah, well, I mean, or yes,
What they call the one
they're
Barbie.
weird Barbie.
Weird Barbie.
So everybody does have a weird Barbie. Then that's where you experiment with things. But the little girls brush Barbie's hair. Barbie has a dream house. Barbie has a camper. Barbie has a Corvette. Barbie has McDonald's. Barbie has everything. And Ken has nothing. And I think what people were trying to do is turn that into some kind of like feminist agenda. But I am literally speaking from like sales and toys. When I was a kid, you got one Ken doll, and that Ken doll lasted you forever. I had one Ken doll, maybe two, and I had 8,000 Barbies, and everything was about Barbie. So I really loved that they turned Barbie World into a real life Margot Robbie being Barbie, and
No, she was great. Like I love Margot Robbie.
and
I love
she
Gosling as
nailed
an actor. Yeah.
she nailed that original Barbie, like where
Yeah.
and then she's being stereotypical Barbie, and then you have Beach Barbie, and then you have Dr. Barb. All these things are real things that exist as toys, and they've existed for years. And that's why, like, I hate that they're turning like children's playtime into like, oh, we're feminists, fuck men. Well, that's because there is construction Barbie, astronaut Barbie,
Well,
pharmacist Barbie.
I thought, the thing for me is like, look, you could have had any plot device for Barbie. It's so wide open. Now, I know we're in the age and now where we have to, look out for girls and try to be good, positive role models and stuff like that. And I really don't have much problem with this film. I really don't. I had some issues toward the end of it.
People do.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, that's just, but dude, it's Gerwig, dude. If you like, you and I watched Little Women, so I knew what I was getting into.
But see, Little Women is a more feminist
right
book.
But I'm just saying, if you don't do the homework, if you don't fucking read up on it, like I knew going in exactly what I was gonna get. It's still an entertaining movie. It's still fun. The actors are fine. I don't really have a problem with Gerwig and her choice of plot device. It is what it is. Uh, would I've gone a different way with it in certain scenes? Yes. But look, it's not that bad of a movie. It's not. I could have came out of there and said it was like a 2, and I didn't. I thought it was still very good. I didn't
It's
have
still very entertaining. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of like jokes and there's a lot of like silliness.
Yeah.
I think though, if you are me 30 years ago and you are creating a movie about your Barbie in your brain, this is what you create, because there are points of this movie that don't really make a lot of sense, but they make sense to people who played Barbie. Like, oh, where do all the Kens go? We don't know. We don't care. And then Barbie has a mega sleepover in her mansion with all of her Barbie girlfriends.
Mojo
President,
Jojo
yeah.
Casa.
Well, that was the funny thing, because
Yeah, no, it's funny, and they take some of like there's
you have
truth
to
when
take it lightheartedly.
yeah, there's people that say that when the people complain about the feminism part, they're saying you have to understand they're also poking fun at, and they are. There are
Mhm.
times that they're literally poking fun at themselves for what they're doing. So, yeah, I would still recommend seeing it. It's not like a really bad film. It just you're gonna come away feeling one way or the other. You're either gonna really love it, gonna be lukewarm, or you're gonna fucking hate it.
And
That's just how it
I
is.
love Ryan Gosling, like,
Yeah,
just
she does like a lot.
I love him. I do. I don't know why. I mean, he's like a great actor, but I just love him. I love when he's on screen. He's just like got this whole thing going on. And I have Barbie cups. I still have Barbies. I like so this whole movie was like about me. Like I felt like it
She
was.
knew from the trailer that she was going, and guess who was gonna go with her?
And you did.
I did.
And I honestly thought, like, I was scared to see it for a minute, because I'm like, they're gonna turn it into something very like ditzy and
I
like.
that's that's what I thought. Like I didn't when I finally saw it, I did not expect that. So I was like, a little more thought provoking. But
Weird
it's
Barbie the
decent.
Oracle.
Yeah. So anyway, my number one.
Now I know what it is.
It's not hard to guess.
It's
It's
right
gonna
behind you.
be Godzilla -1. Directed by Takashi Yamazaki. Cast consists of Minami Hamide as Noriko, Rizunazuki Kamiki as Kochi. Also have Sakura Ando as Samiko and Munetaka Aoki as Sosuku Tachibana. Plot is post-war Japan is at its lowest point when a new crisis emerges in the form of a giant monster baptized in the horrific power of the atomic bomb.
See, that I love that they keep it vague,
Mm-hmm.
because I went into this movie thinking something completely different.
Well, yeah, you and I were talking about how we thought certain things were going to play out a certain way, and it didn't.
And
Like
I couldn't believe this movie. And the one thing I think is my favorite thing about the movie, besides just the actors were stellar, and
I told
everything's very
people,
believable, but for me is, I imagine you, like, are on the train and a giant monster grabs the train and has it in its mouth, and they take that iconic scene from the original Godzilla and they
54, yeah.
recreated it.
Mhm.
But it looks so real, and everybody is not treating, like, Godzilla's kind of become campy over the years.
Mhm.
And I feel like they took this, and you would be fucking shitting your pants if Godzilla was walking down the street. Like, let's be honest. You look outside and there's a giant monster. Like, sorry, I just hit my mic. I mean, like, you'd be very, very scared, and they treat it like that. And I think for so many
I was
years.
thinking about this earlier. It was kind of funny
Oh, no.
because I was taking a shower and just looking outside and I'm thinking to myself, sometimes random thoughts pop in
Oh,
my
you
head.
and I are like that. Random Thoughts by
But
Anubis and Neko.
I said, how would humanity really act if all of a sudden a big spaceship just appeared out of the sky?
Just like in Independence Day, they would
And see, that's
go
the
up
thing, and
in
that's the
front of it and be like, "Take me with you."
but that's what I'm saying. Like, I would think most people, for me, my first thought is Independence Day. Like, I'm
Mhm.
thinking we're gonna get fucked, you know. But we don't even know. They could be completely friendly. We just wouldn't know.
They
But
could
our
just
first
be
thought, because of the way
observing.
that we create films and books, and we have this like innate fear of the unknown with aliens and ghosts and everything else, that we automatically go to the negative side of things. But as you said, Godzilla appears. For me, it's going to be generally curiosity. But dude, like, if Godzilla is like truly,
Using his, like, his breath,
well, that, and just
stomping, knocking shit over
if
with his
it's not just like
gigantic tail
if
that's bigger than my fucking block
if
of
it's not just like
houses.
a territorial thing, and he's just like pissed off because we had some ships by his way, like if he's there to do destruction. So even like the earlier part of the film, when he's more like dinosaur, like he grabs a couple of them by his mouth. Initially, I thought he was going to eat them, but he just kind of tossed them away. So I think he likes fish. They kind of probably did a little nod to Zilla there with that. But
I also think, like, because we know what happened during World War II in Japan, and this has always been the theme of Godzilla is, the atomic bomb created Godzilla. So when you see it earlier in the film, Godzilla is like the size of, like, I don't know, a T-Rex
mhm,
initially.
yeah,
And after the war is over, the detail again, the detail,
Bikini Atoll.
like, you look at everything happening and you see, like, how Tokyo is destroyed, not by Godzilla, by the war.
Air raids, yeah.
Yeah, and not even, this is not even like Nagasaki or Hiroshima. This is, you know just in general, how, like, the war has taken a toll on Japan, the detail. And then you realize, like, okay, that scene that you showed where, like, Godzilla's gigantic head starts popping up, and the main character, I forgot his name,
Kochi.
Kochi, is like, fuck. He was like, you
He
know
was much smaller when
an
I saw him last
18th
time.
of the size, and I
Yeah.
shit my pants and I couldn't, help. Now what am I going to do? So there really are, like, trying to show, hey, this is what they were doing with the original Godzilla. This is the dangers of atomic warfare. Look what you're doing. You're taking local species and turning them into gigantic monsters. So,
Yeah, I mean, look, of all the films that I've seen this year, this is the strongest story of all of them. And funny thing is, I've told people before, you can take Godzilla out, and this would still be a great fucking movie, because it talks about PTSD,
mhm.
suicidal thoughts,
Mhm.
depression, struggles after war and stuff. So people who may not have seen this film,
You turn Godzilla into, like, a hurricane or something. Like, it's
really,
just
yeah.
like
Like, if you
some
like,
kind of natural disaster.
I
It
mean,
would
for us as kaiju fans and everything, we love Godzilla. So the fact that he's obviously a Godzilla movie, it's like we're happy as hell he's in it. But I think we were both really kind of blown away at just how good the story was. And this is I did my top 10 reworking of Godzilla films, and this one came at number 5. Now you say to yourself, wow, you really liked it, but it's 5. Which ones are better? And 54 is not even above it. So 54 is like a 10. So I still have films by Legendary and, like, of course, Toho ahead of this one for different reasons, because as a kid and everything else, and
just, sentimental
graphics,
reasons,
right?
and like, I
Like,
know
King of the
King of the
Monsters
Monsters
is
just
still there.
touched you in a way that
But if I had to sit there and say this is better story than anything Legendary
this
has
is a
done,
better story than anything Legendaries ever came up with.
yeah. And to me, I think it's better than 54. But obviously,
It's kind of
like most things back then, they didn't have budgets like we do now. They didn't really know how that film was going to do. It was kind of like someone probably put it together and said, like, let's just do a monster movie based around war. It's going to have symbolism and meaning. This time around, Yamazaki said, I'm going to kind of use the blueprint, but I'm going to make it a little bit more
add a
serious
little
tone
depth.
movie. Yeah, yeah. And that's really what it came down, is depth, because the characters are very well written. You care about each and every one of them.
Oh my god, that hospital scene.
Yeah.
You saw me. I
Which
was like a
leaves
blubbering idiot.
Yeah, and at the end, it still leaves it open ended. So I've heard Yamazaki saying they might do another one,
I hope they do.
and
I'm thinking about the hospital scene right now.
I'm hoping they do Godzilla Raids again, only because like that introduces Anguirus, and I would love to see because we haven't
We
seen
never get
Anguirus in
Anguirus.
years. Yeah, we never seen him in years. So it'd be nice if he's gonna kind of follow that up with a sequel like Godzilla Raids Again, which was a direct sequel to 54, even though they started going, that's when it kind of started going into, oh, we're going to show other monsters and it's going to get a little more goofy because I think they went Godzilla and Kong after that or something. But if he does another one, man, he's a very great director. He did a great job on this film. And like, a lot of people are out there right now saying, hey, Hollywood, take notice. Toho does it right. I'm like, I'm not going to bash Legendary. They came in paying homage to Godzilla. They did it the best way they figured they could. King of the Monsters does a lot of things right,
But
in terms of the monsters and the looks and how they put it together.
but Legendary's story is different than Toho's. The whole and I was
But you
commenting
could have
on
done stuff like that because
but
that was one of your hangups is like
yeah,
the cheesy
besides
characters.
the cheesy characters, the one thing I like about Legendary is they created the whole Monarch like
which is
backstory.
ironically takes a whole different turn from everything else.
And I
It's done more
love
serious. It's
the
more
whole
character driven.
idea
Yep.
of, we've known about these monsters for a really long time and we've kept them secret. So I like that Legendary kind of took that, like,
Yeah, they're connecting all the
you
dots.
think of all the campy old movies and it's just like, oh crap, here comes Godzilla again. We just run away. But when we saw 2014 Godzilla for the first time, I remember when we saw,
I mean, out of all Legendary, that's the best story.
we grabbed hands in the theater. We were at the drive-in. We
saw it 2 weeks in a row. We went to the drive-in.
hands.
Yeah.
When he did, like, you see the blue going up his tail, and my heart just like dropped. That's what you want to see. And I feel like on it again, 2014, they make it feel so realistic because, oh look, a fucking tsunami. Yeah, because there's a giant monster coming out of the ocean, and Hawaii is the tiniest island in the world. You can drive across the whole thing in a circle in less than 2 hours. It's tiny. But I feel like Legendary, they need, okay. Yes, Toho made a better movie. However, Legendary created a whole like backstory. We didn't have that backstory before. It was just like, oh look, there's Godzilla.
Yeah, well, like they tried that with 98, so they tried to get cute. I really kind of give credit to Devlin and them because they were like, we just did Independence Day, so now we're gonna do Godzilla. So they tried to make the story about Godzilla believable. So they took Iguana, said, hey, radiation created this creature that is out of that. So it makes sense. The issues that everybody runs into is one, again, the campiness is actually kind of expected, but to me, I think I would have been fine without the little miniature ones because they remind a little bit too much of Jurassic Park.
A lot of people say that. Yeah. Like
and then the other thing was like you kind of got used to Godzilla having a fire breath. And so in this case, it wasn't Zilla didn't have that. He just kind of blew air, and then of course whatever caught on fire, that was sort of like the imitation fire breath.
I can't believe you remember so many details. I can't remember the last time I saw this movie.
I look, there's pieces of me that enjoyed it. Like I was excited because I knew Independence Day was amazing. So I was like, oh, well, you got the same dudes doing this. This is gonna be good.
But it makes sense. It makes
but
sense.
But then, of course, 2014,
yeah.
when I did the trailer with Neko, and I saw the ending with Godzilla and his roar, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna jizz myself. Like they finally got it right. And so and then of course the movie was just amazing, and so a lot of people still hated it, which is funny because now
cracks me up because like,
well, now people come back and they're like, yeah, I like 2014, but back then nobody didn't like it. They were bitching a lot.
I swear to God, I rewatched because I feel like again with the believability, they act like the way a monster attack would be.
And they incorporated the whole like the atom bomb. That's how it kind of starts. So that's sort of like the new one -1 sort of borrowed a little bit from that.
Well, that's the whole story of Godzilla. Like
But I mean, like they just actually because they threw in footage, like we remember
Mhm.
seeing the bomb on the Bikini Atoll. That they finally went with that, and so I appreciated that. And of course, we had the U.S. saying, "Well, we know this creature's out there. We can't help you because Russia's like gonna get pissed off if we."
Yeah, if we cross.
Yeah, so they really did it well, and of course, it still has its symbolism with like governments and stuff, which I thought was cool because they actually some people were trying to say that this film was promoting suicide, which is stupid as fuck. But two,
But you have to realize
they
that
said
you're
it was
portraying.
anti-American. I said no, like there was no anti-American anything. Even though there might have been issues about America dropping the bombs, it was the civilians from Japan that went and fought Godzilla. They said we're not even worried about the government. We're going to do it ourselves.
And the civilians that rebuilt
Right. So
Japan
that was
too.
the thing. Like they just didn't trust the governments anywhere. So to
A
me,
lot.
I thought it was so well done.
And
Like
and
just,
you feel everything that these civilians are feeling
mhm.
because it
It's
is
well acted.
taken
So
from the
great.
perspective of civilians. Like, let's just think like modern times, the shit that's going down in like Ukraine. Do you think a lot of civilians, or even like, on the other side in Russia, a lot of people are just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I am just a civilian. I am at the mercy of the bullshit that my government is doing. So you see this with Japan because they're like, we're getting attacked because of this war. We don't want anything to do with this war, but we're at the mercy. So as DJ Anubis said, at the end, when they're all rallying against Godzilla, they're like, this is not a government sanctioned event.
Yeah. Because they had to go and find like ships. They had to go find the plane.
Planes. They had to come up
So
with an idea themselves.
yeah.
And the beautiful part was a lot of them were ex-military and they were pissed off. They were
And
really
and I
pissed
should
off.
say there's a couple characters in here, Sumiko and Tachibana, where and even with Kochi, we saw characters who started out one way and then grew into something else. Like there was like forgiveness, and it was just so well done. Like
I want to
I
watch it
can't.
again right now. Can we
Yeah,
can we stream it?
go. Well, we'll just go to the theater. Um, it's just so good. Like it really is. And so,
I agree.
and the funny thing is, like, obviously this film would have been up on my list pretty high, but the fact that it was like a clear number one, there's nothing else that touches it for me, really. There was no ever.
Especially like it touches everything. Oh my god, that sounded dirty.
Well, thank you all for checking out this video. Hope you liked it. If you have any comments, please give us your feedback, maybe your own top 10 list. We're glad to hear anything you've seen this year that you thought deserved to be in here. If you have any recommendations,
We promise we will check out Oppenheimer just as
yeah,
soon as it comes on streaming.
yeah. There's
Because
just
I do believe it is worth watching, but I can't do three and
I
a
love
half
Christopher
hours.
Nolan, so I'm assuming it's going to be really good. I just haven't got around to it. But for the films I did see, these are the ones that I like the most this year, and I hope you all get a chance to check some
So
of them out
can Barbie be 11?
on your list.
No, Barbie is number.
Barbie is not even a 9 out of 10 though. It's like a 7 out of 10 for me. So like that's the
Barbie
thing
is a 10 out of 10 for me.
for you. So I should have told her to get her own list together, but she wouldn't have remembered anything anyway. She struggles with that. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, please. And thank you all very much for checking out this stuff. As I talked about before in the other video I did for my first Lone Wolf with Dove video, content's going to be a little more sporadic. I'm not going to do as much, even though I think I'm getting ready to do something with Lambert next week for Cinematic Synergy.
Oh, I hope you do.
But things will be slowing down a little bit with that. But we're going to try to put out quality content for you, like stuff like this.
Send nudes.
So again, thanks so much for the support you do give us. We appreciate it. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you here next time on the Military Radio Podcast.